Welcome back, everyone, for some more award season coverage. I'm your host, Paige, and with me are my two lovely pals over from Bitesize Breakdown. And today we are covering part one of our Oscar predictions. But before we dive into all of the categories we'll be covering today, let me introduce to you the two gentlemen I have on screen. To the right of me, to the right, is our writer and host, Amarú. And below me is the creator, pretty much like our god in a sense, for Bite-Size Breakdown, the man that makes the wheel turn. And that is Nick. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
I'm doing all right. I know a lot more about Oscars than I do about Emmys, even though it sounded like I knew what I was talking about. This time I actually do, or at least I feel like I do. So I'm doing well. Happy to have Boss Man here.
I am no god, but certainly not in Oscar predictions, but I'll give it a shot.
Well, you're the Bite-Size Breakdown god. You're the creator of that. So there we go. But so for all of you guys wondering today what we will be covering, because we're not going to be covering all, God only knows how many categories are at the Oscars. We will be covering 5 categories today. And that will be adapted screenplay, original screenplay, supporting actor and supporting actress, and best animated feature. But just so you guys know, we are not predicting who will win this category. We are predicting who we think are going to get nominated. So some of us may be going with our heart a little bit, but majority of this is going with our head today. So you guys have any questions before we dive into this?
Nah, let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. Let's do the first category then, guys. And that is adapted screenplay. So I'm going to throw it over to Amarú. What's your number one?
So for this one, there's a movie that kind of like, was it going to be in this category? Was it not going to be in this category? We kind of got some whatever the word is for that. I'm blanking, but we know where it is. However, that is not my number one. My number one, who I think is 100% getting nominated, is got to be the movie that like everybody else is talking about on the other side of that. It's Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is a deadlock for me for adapted screenplay. I don't think there is any question that this one's going to get a slew of awards, and Oppenheimer is my number one dead set lock for adapted screenplay. It's a great, extremely great written movie. 3 hours of talking about things I have no idea about, and I am riveted. And then also wondering what he said to Einstein from beginning to end, and that was also really good.
Now, Nick, do you have that on your list at all?
I do, and it's also my number one.
Wow, you guys are crazy because that is my number 4. I think it is definitely going to get nominated, but I don't think it has the strongest screenplay per se out of the bunch. So I'm going to give you guys my number 1. And it's probably going to be this. It's going to be neck and neck between Oppenheimer and this movie, probably for the most nominations at the Oscars this year, and that's Barbie. We didn't know where this movie was ending. We all thought it was going to go in original screenplay, and now we've got the clearance that it is going into adapted, just because it's adapted on a toy, I guess, even though there's no like story that it's pulling from or anything, besides it's dolls with no genitals and the Barbie dream house. But no, what Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach were able to craft with this type of Barbie movie is just, to me, mind-blowing. Like, whoever thought a Barbie movie would be heartwarming, like delightful, and like thought-provoking. And if neither of you guys have this on your list, you guys are crazy. So please tell me you guys do.
Rue, do you have
it? If I got to choose what I wanted to choose, it would not be on this list. I'm not going to say it's a bad screenplay, but I was not a fan of the film as much. I did very much appreciate it, and I think it is a good movie. But this is not about what I want. It's about what I believe, and I also have Barbie at number 2. Well, not also, because you have it at number 1, but I have it at number 2. I think Barbenheimer have a lot of 1-2 punches, or at least back-to-back in a lot of these categories. So,
Nick, this better be on your list.
4.
You were crazy. I'm telling you guys right now. It is. I mean, I know we're not doing what's going to win, but it 100% I think is winning in this category. Oh, it's neck to neck, but I think it is taking the win. But we're not here to discuss that today.
I don't think it's taking the win, but okay, sure.
crazy. So, Rue, what's your number 2 then?
No, that was my number 2.
Oh, shoot. Okay, so Nick, what is your number 2?
So, admittedly, I'm no prognosticator. I'm no awards pundit. So I look at either things that I think are deserving that are within the conversation, or I look at patterns that I see year after year. To me, adapted screenplay, if it's not going to be Oppenheimer, it should probably be Poor Things, because that's my number 2.
And that is my number 3. Now, Yorgos Lanthimos did not write this script, but the screenplay writer, Tony
McNamara.
Yes. He wrote Cruella with Emma Stone in it, and I really liked that movie. And I really liked Poor Things, so I have it at number 3. I think it's bonkers and a bizarre fairy tale-esque film about falling in love with living again. And while it may not land for everyone, I think it really is at its core like a beautiful film about life.
Yeah,
for me, I'll just say this now. My top 5, I think my picks are locks. I think this is one of the more confident I'm here. So 1 through 5, no matter what, I think they're all getting nominations. It's just based off what I've kind of been seeing, getting nominated a lot more. I'll say this: 1 through 4, I think are deadlocks, while 5 should be in. But for me, Poor Things is number 4. I have another movie that I think is more likely to get nominated if anything was to get knocked off. But really, 1 through 4 is like could be swapped, and 5 is like if this does not make it, you're absolutely crazy. But yeah, Poor Things is number 4 for me.
That's how my list is looking. My 1 through 4, I feel like are really strong locks, and then my 5 is I think is up in the air right now. But I'm gonna give you guys my number 2 since I haven't done that yet, and that is American Fiction. I think people know I may not be the biggest fan of that ending because I feel like it doesn't like stick the landings as hardcore, but I think I need to rewatch it again because after discussing the ending with a few people, it does sit with me a little bit better. So I think I just need to visually see it again. But man, that screenplay it's brilliant. I really, really like that movie is a really fun time, but it's also a great, like somewhat like meta satire on like the racial industry and like what they have to deal with and such like that. So American Fiction, baby, number 2. I think it really is between that and Barbie, but I think Barbie's taking it. Anyone else have that on their list?
I do. I have American Fiction at 3 because we're picking what we think, where we think things are going to land, but it would 100% be a number 1 if I was predicting who I would. This is by far the best screenplay, adapted or otherwise, this year. No contest.
Yeah, I am 100% with this man. This would be my screenplay. I think the ending is 100% what it should be. I watch a lot of videos on like the actors roundtables, directors roundtables, and just listening to how director Cord Jefferson talks about why he ended it that way. I cannot remember. There's like a Latin phrase that's in the book that like kind of sums up to something like I'm butchering this completely, but the mindset is things do not need to be solved. What is known, or some crap like that. Please go look it up. It's in the book Erasure. It's much more profound than I'm making it seem. But the fact that he talks about how like conflicts in life, they don't get solved. Not everything has an answer. Not everything needs an answer. So I loved, because I was watching the movie and I was so captivated by the screenplay and what was going on. And I was like, but how are you ending this? I don't know how you're ending this.
Yeah.
And then when he did it, and I was like, please be and it was what it was. I was like, yes, this was perfect. This is exactly how it should be. So I'm speaking it up like it's my number 1. It's my number 1 in my heart. I just think this is the 5 lock. So American Fiction is at 5 for me. Because
wow,
I do think I have seen consistently 1 through 4, which one of them I haven't mentioned yet, just continuously be there. And I feel like American Fiction has had a couple of places where they've missed, but I still think that is definitely a lock. But it's number 5. But if it gets kicked out, I'm going to be ticked.
I think it will 100% get in. Like I said, it's my number 2. And so, Rue, have we gone through all of yours yet, or do you still have one more?
I have one more. It is my number 3. And my number 3 is the other one. Like, I think it's these 3, actually these 4, but these 3 just come up everywhere. And I have Poor Things at number 4 basically because it can be pretty divisive. Like, it's wild, it's crazy. But I think Barbenheimer and is 1, 2, and then Killers of the Flower Moon is number 3. Whether you like how long it is, whether you like the perspective it came from, and all of that, no matter what, it has been just consistently getting play in this category over and over and over. They wrote a really good script. I do not remember who wrote this or if Scorsese wrote it or not, but the screenplay is a very good screenplay for what the movie was, for what Scorsese gave us. You can talk about whether or not they wrote it in the right perspective or not. That is definitely a whole nother conversation. But for what was presented to us and what was given to us, again, another 3-hour-plus movie that did give respect to the indigenous culture, but did represent it from the I'm gonna just use colonizers because I like that word, the colonizers' point of view. And it got a lot of great performances, and I can be a little bit of a shill. And one of my favorite line deliveries from Brendan Fraser, because it was fucking hilarious. So, but yeah, that was my number.
Adriano fist pumping when you say that.
Yes.
Nick, do you have Killers of the Flower Moon on your list?
I don't.
I don't either, actually. So
Wow.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. I still have my number 5 open, but
That's
I do.
why.
Yes, but I will honestly say though, I do, like I said, I think my 1 through 4 are locked, but I think 5 can be a toss-up. Is it more likely that Killers of the Flower Moon is probably going to have the upper hand over my pick and possibly what Nick's pick is? But I don't know. It's a new academy. We have newer members. I'm hoping that we kind of diversify it a little bit and not just throw in like the normal films that you think would get nominated in a sense. But Nick, what is your number 5?
So I haven't seen my number 5. It's on my catch-up list. But for the people making prediction for the Oscars, every year there's always shockers, there's always snubs. And I've been looking at what movie I think is not getting its due somewhere where it should. So for my 5th adapted screenplay, I have All of Us Strangers.
That's my number 5.
Yeah,
I'm happy, Nick. You need to watch it.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list to catch up. But what I know of the screenplay, I'm with Paige. I don't want to delve too much into my picks, but I predict Killers of the Flower Moon not doing near as well as people think it's going to this year.
Yeah, same.
And I think the top 4 that we have, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, American Fiction, and Barbie, those are my 4 locks. I think those ones are in for sure. And then 5th is a toss-up between All of Us Strangers or Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah. Let's speak this into existence, Nick. Let's make this happen. I know you haven't seen the movie, but let's speak it into existence. Because this might be the only category it gets in. So I really hope it gets in.
I am 100% for that. I have a weird relationship with this movie. When I watched it, it was a little later. I had a long day. It's very slow. So there are times I had to fight my sleep. So that kind of affected my viewing, but I knew I definitely thought it was great and written really well. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that is a fairly amazing movie. I thought you were going somewhere else with a movie that I don't like whatsoever. So I'm glad you didn't. I had other honorable mentions that I'll talk about in a second, but that made me happy. I want All of Us Strangers love coming through.
Yes. So Rue and Nick, what are some honorable mentions or like films that like just almost cracked your list but didn't? Or that you want to see crack the list?
So for me, I have 2 films that I really think should. One might surge because it's a late entry and people are just starting to see it. And I'm hoping there's maybe a category 2 that it like kind of knocks some things off that I personally loved. And another one is something you will just you've heard me talk about for a year straight. I think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse deserves love in the screenplay. It is extremely well written for such a convoluted thing that coming together and making it make sense. But the one that I think I'm hoping gets a late surge, but I don't think is going to get in this category, but maybe be a surprise in some other ones is Origin. I just thought I personally was very, very enthralled by the way that Ava DuVernay put this together and how she kind of mixed her like history and documentary and history and narrative and kind of put it together. I really enjoyed it, and I think it was something really different that delivered. So those are my two that I would wish would get in and deserve it, but just probably not.
What about you, Nick? You got any?
Honestly, no. I know the ones that are talked about are, which the one I'm assuming Rue was worried I was going to pick, The Zone of Interest.
Please no. God, no.
Yeah,
no.
Rue and I are on the same page with this one. It does not stick the landing for us.
I don't really want to see, I mean, in this category for sure, but I don't want to see the awards. And I'm not a fan of Origin. I didn't hate it as much as some of the other writers did, but I don't like this screen. If it's not, it's between All of the Strangers and Killers of the Flower Moon. But to me, this is a 6 that are locked, and it's just going to be a flip where one of them comes out. But it's like the top 6, and then 7 is down here.
I'm on the same exact page with that. Like, I think like 5 and 6 are, I obviously have 5 as All of Us Strangers, and then 6 is Killers. But I'm just gonna throw a random one out there because I did have Across the Spider-Verse on my honorable mentions. But I will throw out Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, because that is, I mean, that movie came and went, which kind of sucked. But I mean, it really is a cute, like, coming of age film. I love that director. She also directed Edge of 17. I feel like she's very underrated. And I can't wait to see what she does next because she makes killer films. And I feel like the dialogue in that film it's a great adaptation of the book.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, guys, I think we're good with adapted screenplay. So pretty much our top 4 are Barbie, Oppenheimer. I'm just doing it in any order. Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, American Fiction, and my number 5 and Nick's number 5 is All of Us Strangers, and Amarú's is Killers of the Flower Moon. All right, so let's move over now to original screenplay. And Nick, I'm going to start with you. What's your number 1?
Yeah, I feel like I'm just putting myself on blast, expecting the comments to come at me. I'm picking my number 1 is another movie I haven't seen yet that I will get to. I've actually missed out on 3 screening opportunities to see this film, but it's high on my list, and that is The Holdovers.
That is also my number 1 as well. Before Barbie got moved over to adapted, Barbie was my number 1 in original, but since it got moved out, The Holdovers is my number 1 too. What a bitter, I don't even want to say it's like heartwarming because it's more bittersweet. It's like a nice, like, warm hug that you just like need after like a long day.
I will say about Barbie, I think moving Barbie into adapted screenplay is why I have it so low on my list, because I think it's in a much tougher fight with the films that we just spoke about before. So I think in this list, Barbie would be an easy top 5 for me. But it was near the bottom of the list when it came to adapted. So
I actually think now that it moved over to adapted, I think kind of has better chances because I think the original screenplay are more, I guess I don't want to say like diverse films, but I guess when I mean diverse, I mean as in like smaller movies, but there's also like a few big ones in there. So I feel like they're original. So I feel like they're all very different. With adapted, I feel like right now it is more of like the juggernaut films kind of in a sense from this season. But I feel like that kind of helps Barbie because it was such a big juggernaut this year. But no, I'm glad we both have The Holdovers. Did Alexander Payne write that as well?
Yes, I believe he did. I think he had a quote, or Paul Giamatti talked about when he was hiring him, that he said, "I wrote this role for you. I wrote this role of this man who smells a certain way and looks a certain way. I wrote for you." So yeah, I'm pretty sure Payne wrote it as well.
Man, and that film takes place in Boston, and it's just so pretty and snowy. Man, I just love it.
It's a great Christmas movie, even though it is bittersweet. I actually have Holdovers as my number 2 though, because I've had something that has kind of shot up my radar over the last couple of weeks to my number 1. But I really liked Holdovers. Second you can see it, Nick, definitely go see it.
Yes, it's my second favorite movie of the year. So Vu, what's your number 1 then?
My number 1 is a film I think is going to get a good amount of love, but I think this is the only one that has a chance in actually maybe winning too. It's Anatomy of a Fall. And I know a lot of people like don't put any stock in the Globes, but like that was a very big surprise of that winning at the Globes over just best screenplay in general. And just people really like this movie. And I think they want to give it love somewhere. Because it's going to fight for director. I feel like it's going to fight for best picture. It might get in there. The screenplay is great. The screenplay is really, really well done. So that one is my number one.
I wish we just had like the sound bit of playing PIMP. We will do that next time when we do director and picture. But nope, I have that at I believe that's my number 3. Yes, it is. That screenplay, I saw that at New York Film Festival. I really dug it. I personally, I watch all films with subtitles on them. So to me, it's not really a huge difference when a film is in a different language at all, because I am paying attention the entire time because I want to see what's going on. But yeah, no, what I love about that film is it's not a who done it. It's of like who did this murder. It's more crafted around the mystery of the family itself. And I think that's what I appreciated so much more. And I don't know what France was thinking not putting this in for international feature and choosing a different film, but to each their own, I guess. They definitely would have walked away, I think, with international film with this one. But no, this film is a artistic Law and Order episode, French version. So do you have that on your list though, Nick?
I do. I have Anatomy at my number 2. When you leave a movie, you'll think, oh, I love this. This was great. When I finished watching Anatomy, the word that I just kind of left with was impressed. And a lot of that goes to the screenplay. It's just so intricate. It's so detailed. This would be original screenplay is not the lock that I think adapted is, where these are going to be your category, your choices. Original's kind of all over the place, but if Anatomy doesn't get in, I'll be stunned.
I will honestly, I will throw my hands up or throw them at someone if it happens. Because the best thing about that film is you will walk out of that theater and be contemplating the ending and going back and forth on what you think. And that's what I love. Like what the film does so well with its screenplay is that it treats its audience smart and it lets you let you process what happened and let you think is the answer, kind of, in a sense. And I like when a screenplay treats its audience smart, like its viewers smart, and this one does a solid job doing that.
Agreed.
So then what do you have, Nick, as your next film? Will this be your number 3?
My number 3, I have Past Lives. It's came out earlier in the year, and it's been able to maintain momentum. Maybe not as strong as it did originally, but for something to still be in the conversation as strongly as it is right now, that came out that early, I think it's going to pop up definitely a few places, and this seems to be somewhere that makes sense for it, for sure.
Yes, that is my actual number 2. I feel like that's such a beautifully crafted love story of like soulmates and what could have been, kind of, in a sense. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to it from multiple different like standpoints. And Celine's song, man, the only thing that sucks is that this film I feel like is dying down a little bit more than I was hoping it would. But I definitely, like I said, I 100% think it's getting nominated for original screenplay. And I have it at number 2 because I think it's really between that and The Holdovers.
It is dying down, but it's, like I said, it was an early release. So when you look at it relative to when it came out, it's maintaining better momentum than most movies that came out that long ago would.
Yeah.
This is true.
For me,
you have it on your list?
I do. It is my number 3. It is the last one that I have confidence in. Because past this, it is a toss-up.
Yep.
But Past Lives, again, it's been carrying over all the way since the first quarter of the year or second quarter of the year, and people are still talking about it, even though it's not as high as like an Everything Everywhere like last year. But greatly written film, and shout out to Celine Song. Just hearing her talk about it and how she made this movie just makes me appreciate it so
And
much
it's
more.
kind of like a true story. It's like based on like her like life kind of, which is
she built it around the bar scene. So like the bar scene happened. That was the one thing that happened where she was in between somebody she knew in her past who only spoke Korean, and then her current significant other who only spoke English and had to translate. And she was like, "Yeah, this is a movie." So it's really good. But that's my number.
Adapting it. So I'm gonna give my number 4 then, because yes, the top 3 that we just listed are guaranteed locks as the 1, 2, 3, and my number 4 is our favorite movie with a hot dog line in it, and that is May December. And I think there's no denying, you can't say that this screenplay is not like kind of brilliant, because it's so pulpy, but also tackles such like a serious like subject matter that's going on. And so how they're able to balance the pulpiness of it all and also like the serious like subject matter, to me is it's like so fascinating. And the writer on this film is actually like a young woman. She's like probably late 20s, I believe. And I think this is like one of her first like screenplay credits.
Credits. I've been staring at this phone, and y'all asked me about Alexander Payne, and the dude's name who wrote Holdovers is right in front of me. It's not Alexander Payne; it's David Hemmingson. I'm sorry. Sammy Birch and Alex Mechanik did May December.
Yes, and it 100% is based on that true story that did happen in the 90s, but they'd say it isn't. So, but yeah, no, what they're able to do with balance the different subject matters and how it kind of feels like comedy, but it's a very meta satire, like realistic film, and that's what I appreciate a lot about it. So do any of you guys have it on your list?
So I do, but it's been like going back and forth a lot. But I actually I'm sticking at number 4 as well. I think that's another one that at least a lot of people have been talking about highly. It has fallen in kind of every category except one, and that one of those categories is also falling a little bit. But I ended up sticking it with number 4 because 4 and 5, I really don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
So I'm sticking to 4.
Trust me, there's a film that's on my honorable mentions that I want. Like, I had it up there. I had it up at like number 2, and I was maybe at number 4 or 3, and I was like, it's lost all of its chances, but I'll talk about that when we get there. But Nick, what's your number 4, or do you have May December on your list?
I do not. I get where Rue's coming from. Like there's basically from 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a pretty clear battle of 4 films, and I think you can make a case for any of those 4 being in your bottom 4 and 5. For me, my number 4, which even looking at my list now, I'm not having second thoughts about, but there's 2 films for number 4 that I'm between, with my 5 being kind of certain. I'm gonna say Maestro. I know it hasn't done well in the Twitter and critic verse, but there's just I enjoyed it. Like, there is something about that movie that it feels like it's gonna get its due, even if it's not getting some of the hype of other people. And because I think it may not appear in certain other categories that we'll get into, I'm going to stick it at my number 4.
I did not like that movie at all. I think it has great performances. I was not a fan of that movie, though. So I think that's where the film lost me, actually, though, is its screenplay, because it did not make me more intrigued to learn about Leonard or like want to know more about him. After I saw it, I was just like, well, it is what it is. Like, I wish I kind of I wanted a little bit more than just kind of like that period in his life. But we do have a comment in the chats right now. And no, Adriano is not here today. I know you want to ask about The Sun, but that was what, last Oscars or 2 Oscars ago? But feel free to throw in a comment
He's never
about-
sharing. He's never shedding that. He's never ever shedding that.
Yeah,
No.
sorry, but when they make a sequel to it, then we'll talk about it.
The Holy Spirit.
Yeah, you got to finish the trilogy, right?
You have to.
Maestro wise, I am reluctantly sticking it at 5 because the other movies I have in my head, I don't think. I think it's as divisive as Maestro. I've been very surprised at how much people have not liked that movie. I very much enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I liked every aspect of it. And I thought it would be giving a lot more love, but just the overall, like, kind of, you know what? I actually think just it sounds like hate coming from it, but I think it's going to stick through, and I think it's going to stick through a lot of places. But this is my reluctant 5 because I don't think the other movie in my head right now is gonna be able to get over the hump of its weirdness. So yeah.
I will say though, I think its chances are high getting into this category. Not gonna lie, I just personally don't have it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't get in. I think there are stronger screenplays than Maestro, but its chances I think are higher than the maybe ones that I'm including. But I definitely think December has higher chances.
I think the thing with Maestro is the thing where a lot of the negativity comes in is it's what you just said, Paige. I think people went into it being like, "Hey, where's my Leonard biopic?"
Yeah, where's my biopic? I want to learn about this guy.
It's never claimed to be a biopic. Aside from the title being Maestro, obviously leaning towards his musical career, the movie is very, very clearly about a relationship between two people and the way that they maneuver that relationship and every focus on it. It's never really on his conducting. It's on the relationship, whether it's the highs, the lows, however you want to look at it. And of course, near the end. And I think if you look at it as a singular thing, I find it much like Priscilla this year, where it is focusing on one aspect of a relationship and it's taking that story from beginning to end. And it doesn't really leave you with any questions about that aspect. You just have more questions about the rest of his life, the rest of his story. But it's never claimed to be a story. It's never claimed to be an overarching story of his life. It's more so we're telling this story. And I think it does that quite well.
I do like the comparison to Priscilla, though. That kind of does. It's just following this like one portion of their relationship, like throughout like the time period that they were together. But yeah, I still don't like the film. So Bradley Cooper wants that damn Oscar, and and people will say like how do you say that? Of course, anyone wants an Oscar, but dude, when you direct a film in black and white about this like very important conductor that that people do know about, but not like normal regular moviegoers will like know who they are, and you're directing and you're like co-writing and you're the lead, you are trying your best to get that Oscar. And hey, more power to him. If I could do it, I would try as well. So
I will put this out into the universe, though. Bradley Cooper is a very, very good actor, a very talented actor. Yes. He will win his Oscar for directing. It won't be for acting.
Interesting.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
I think when his career is done, he'll be looked at as a better director than an actor. He may have more roles as an actor, but the growth I've seen just between Star is Born and Maestro, I know Rue and I were talking about James Samuel for Book of Clarence. Mm-hmm. Bradley Cooper to me is moving into that. If he's coming out with a movie, I'm instantly interested. I really want to see what this guy does.
Like, well, that comparison, like right there, though, that you just said, though, that's how I am with like Ben Affleck. I think Ben Affleck will win an award over. I mean, he's already won a Best Picture, but I think and for a screenplay, I think he'll definitely win an award. He's a better director than he is actor, personally, even though I love both sides of his work. And I think Cooper is working to get there. And while I do think he is a better actor than director right now, because personally I like The Star is Born better than Maestro, I think he does have a few things that he needs to work on, but I think he is on the path, like you said, to get to that. So with that said, did you guys both just give your 1 through 5?
Yep.
No.
or I have at least. I've done my 1 through 5.
I have not given my 5.
You haven't given your 5? Okay. So do you want to give your 5 and then I'll give my 5?
Sure. So every part of my logical brain is telling me what my 5 should be. And I think it's a movie that Rue alluded to for being too weird for the Oscars. But sometimes they make a movie and you just go, that's a movie like an Oscar movie. And it's got the cast of an Oscar movie. And I don't see it getting its due anywhere else. So to me, this is where I'm going to say Air has its best shot.
I was going somewhere else.
I was going somewhere else because just take exactly what Nick does in the beginning portion and then throw it on top of my movie, and it will make a lot more sense what I'm going to say for my 5. But Air is definitely in my honorable mentions. I would actually be at my number 7 for honorable mention. I do think it has good chances of getting in there, though, but it's kind of like it came and went, which is a fortunate part.
Yeah, it did the opposite of what Past Lives did. It had a lot of buzz right at the jump, and then it completely went away. It's one of my 2 honorable mentions that I wish would get in. Like my 2, I want to be the 4 and 5, and Air is one of them. And actually I have another 6, which I would love to see, which I kind of think she might have, but I was wrong with you, so we'll see what she says. But yeah, go ahead. What is your 5? Paige?
Well, I'm going to go with the Divisive as Hell film, and it does have a couple Oscar-nominated people in it, and it's stunning to look at, and this woman won already,
There you go.
and that is Emerald Fennell's Saltburn.
That was the one I was alluding
This
to.
film is on the rise. I don't care what anyone says. It is definitely getting it. I think it's going to get at least 3 Oscar nominations. Possibly, yeah, I'll say 3.
I don't think it has a shot in anywhere getting 3. I doubt it's getting this one, and the one I think it's close to is just a stacked category. So I don't know what 3. I don't know about that. I would love it.
It may be in one of the categories that we're talking about towards the end. So, and then cinematography. I think it's the cinematography. I think it's beautifully shot.
Maybe, but yeah, I'm with you though. That would be one of my. That would be like I think that's if I had that would be number 8 for me for on the list.
I will say, based on what you just said about Saltburn, Paige, I have a theory about this Oscars, and that is, don't get me wrong, I very rarely rate a movie 5 out of 5, and Everything Everywhere All at Once got 5 out of 5 from me. I knew it the moment I saw it. But it cleaned up to a dramatic sense at the Oscars last year, and I just have this gut feeling that they're going to spread the wealth a little bit more this year. And that's where I think you're going to see some other films. Because to be honest, like, awards are more interesting when it's not all one movie that wins. And it's not to take anything away from Everything Everywhere. It was well deserving of all the awards it got. But I do think that there's going to be kind of a pushback this year, and you're going to see a lot of different movies end up with some trophies, or at least nominations.
Yeah, we shall see. Interesting. I mean, this category right here is the one that I think is left in the air the most with what could be the 4 and 5. But what do you guys have for what didn't crack your list, but you wish it would?
My other one, which again, a lot of people wanted a late push, and I don't see it as much as it's happening. It's the Iron Claw.
Yep. That was literally my number 4. And once, like, pretty much a couple days ago, after like a bunch of different award-based, I don't want to say institutes, but you guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like award season collab people have, like, it didn't get BAFTAs, it didn't get SAG, and like the movie's lost all hope. And A24 really, really dropped the ball on this one. All they had to do was release it during the festival season, and it would have gotten more eyes on it and more buzz. Because damn, this movie is it's something so special.
Sad.
And it's extremely sad.
Devastating.
And yes, it's heartbreaking as hell.
Yeah.
But like the ending line in that film will crush your soul.
it's a good movie. It's
like I literally have like chills like thinking about that ending line. The one with it when he's with his sons.
Yeah.
In the backyard in the end. Like that is such a like with a movie that's about brotherhood, this film really hits you to the core. And I'm so sad that it's not getting the love it deserves. And
the train doesn't like it either.
I tried to pause it just in time when I was talking, so I was like, shit. But yeah, no, A24 really dropped the ball on this one because I would have loved to see this movie get in, but I just don't think it's going to crack it because it's getting love nowhere else. And that doesn't mean anything because it doesn't get SAG or Golden Globes or BAFTA. That really doesn't mean anything, but I feel like it's lost its chances a lot because I feel like no one's talking about it like they should be.
Yeah.
And I also have Air on my list as well.
Yeah, next to American Fiction, The Iron Claw is the best film of the year. I'll fight that. It's excellent. It's an excellent film. As someone who knew the story going into it, what the director did with Sean Durkin, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
Yep.
What the director did with that story, how he was able to cram so much into such a long runtime. Yeah, it's an exceptional film. The weird honorable mention I'll throw out just for the basis of what an original screenplay is Dream Scenario.
Interesting. I didn't think of that, but that's a good one.
For how unique that film is, I think that's something that probably deserves to be in the conversation a little bit more.
Yeah, cancel culture, man. It's a real thing. And I feel like it's more relevant than ever. So
cancel culture and the mix of what, not even the person, but what the thing that is Nicolas Cage has become and the way that they explored that within the film. Yeah, I thought it was the uniqueness of it, I think probably deserves to have some mention.
And Rue, do you have any before we head on to our next category?
It was Air and the Iron Claw. Those were the
All right, perfect. Well, with that, guys, let's go over to Best Animated Feature. And I have to admit, guys, Rue is like the bite-sized go-to like animated guy for like you've seen so many animated films this year. Well, not only this year, but like all you watch majority of them that come out throughout the year. So this is definitely like the hardest category for me to tackle in sense of have I seen more than 5 this year, to be completely honest. Maybe I've seen like 6, but I mean, come on, guys. I think we all have the same number one, and if you don't,
I don't know if we do. I'll be honest,
dude. If you don't have Across the Spider-Verse,
I mean, you know what I'm gonna have.
okay,
I'm talking about him.
There would be some serious issues if you did not have that, because you also are a big comic book guy as well. Yeah, no, Across the Spider-Verse, yes, it did end open-ended with a part 2 coming, but the animation style and what they're like, that's the biggest thing. The animation style within this film is spectacular. And yeah, this film is running away with this award in my eyes. But yes, was it the Golden Globe that kind of had the big shock?
Yes.
Yeah, but
yes. It's not as big a shock as I think it was a bit of a shock, but I wasn't too surprised. Spider-Verse is my number one. 100% my number one. It is my number one movie of the year. It is one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm just going to put this out here. Nobody complained about the Two Towers when it ended. And there was still more to go. And not really a full movie. Nobody talks about Empire Strikes Back like that. We are going to look back at Across the Spider-Verse and the whole, it's not a full movie. That's bullshit. You got Gwen Stacy's story, and it did the exact same thing Empire did and left you feeling like, oh my gosh, speechless. What did I just see?
Yep. What's next?
Yeah. Spider-Verse is not only the best animated feature, it is the best movie this year. To me, period. So it's number one for me. But I'm very curious whether or not it is also number one for you, or if you have the other one, which is gaining a lot of steam.
No, I have Spider-Verse at number one.
Yes.
I don't like it as much as Into the Spider-Verse, but it is still, to me, easily the best animated movie this year.
I
And
agree.
that's not even to say it's been a weak year for animated movies, but what they've been able to do in these two Spider-Verse movies is just unlike anything else. Anything else. Like, they've brought a comic book to life on the big screen, and they managed to up their game visually with this one. So yeah, I may not have found the story in this one as strong, still loved it, but as strong as I found the first one, focusing on the story of Miles and his uncle. But this is an easy number one. And if the movie I think we all have as our number two ends up winning, I actually do think it will be a disappointment.
Yes, but you guys want to know that number two film that you guys are probably thinking is my number two is not my number two. My number two is the Teenage TMNT Mutant Mayhem, because another film right there that the animation style like leaps off the screen. What they were able to do, Paramount like just took a unique style with their animation and made the TMNT characters come to life in a very correct portrayal of them being young, like teenagers. And I think this is like the best they've done it in a very long time. And for me, it's one of my favorite TMNT films. So for me, that is number two. Do I think it's going to win? No, I think it's probably better. It's probably more likely to land in the number three spot, but it's 100% getting nominated, I think. But what do you guys have as your number two? Or do you guys have that on your list?
I am
TMNT?
not. Yeah. Go ahead, Nick.
I have it at 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
As do I. I also have it at number 4. It is the best TMNT movie. Funnily enough, the two best TMNT movies are animated features. And I love the 90s movies. My childhood. Everything you said about the movie, and it is one of my favorite movies of the year too. I'm pretty sure it's in my top 10. Everybody in the ensemble just came through. The fact that they had all 4 of the boys filming together in the same space, and how hard it is to do that. You can feel it. You can feel that they're teenagers. Shout out to Ayo. I always call it Edebiri, but it's Adebiri. There we go, Adebiri. Love this film to death, but it has been one of those that's been slipping in and out, and I would be very upset if it doesn't make it. But I have it at number 4 in what I think is coming in, because I don't think it's 100% lock.
Yeah, I should probably have it at number 3 more than I think about it, because we're going with lock-wise. But I definitely think it is getting a nomination. Nick, where do you have it on your list? Oh, you said 4, right?
I have it at 4, yeah.
All right, well, you guys' number 2 is definitely my number 3, and that is The Boy and the Heron. I'm assuming that's you guys' number 2?
Yes,
right.
It is. I don't like this movie.
I thought it was good. I think I gave it I can't remember what I gave it off the top of my head. I did not think it's. Can someone say the director's name for me? So
Hayao Miyazaki.
Yes, Miyazaki. So I don't think it's his best film. I think it's very jumbled in the middle. The themes don't stick the landing as hard as I thought they should have, like they have with his other films. Yes, the animation is stunning. And I'm also talking about the original car. I'm not talking about the American version. I'm talking about the one with the actual subtitles. Which it doesn't mean, I don't think makes a difference, but I feel like if you're going to see a film, see how it was intentionally made. But for me personally, yeah, the themes just don't stick the landing as hard as his other films do. And yes, it has I think what is helping the film is that its score is so strong that that's how you feel the emotion is through the score. But yeah, it's 100% getting nominated. To me, it's just not my favorite Miyazaki film. So Miyazaki,
yeah. So yeah, I will admit I have a bias low key against Studio Ghibli. I just don't like Studio Ghibli movies. Like even the one I like, Princess Mononoke, it creeps me out. Like that doesn't help. These things creep me out.
They give you nightmares if you really think they're kind of creepy.
So, but I've never been into Studio Ghibli movies, but I usually have a very high appreciation of them. And this one, I was like, let me watch it, because I watched a very similar movie earlier this year, and like I had the same feelings, but I enjoyed it. So I was like, let me try it out. And even my wife, who is into anime and Ghibli and things like that, both of us were like, what was that? Where what was the reason? Where did it go? I'm not sure what happened here. But Miyazaki is Miyazaki. It's been 10 years since he's made it, and a lot of people are just being like, not Spider-Verse. Let's throw something in there. Okay, maybe they aren't doing that, but still, definitely a lock though, 100%.
So what do you guys both have at number 3 then? Because you guys gave your 1, 2, and 4s.
Nick, go ahead.
I have a movie that was released kind of unceremoniously and has picked up steam since it hit Disney Plus, and that is Elemental.
I have not seen Elementals yet, but it is number 5 on my list because I definitely need to see it. And I mean, Disney needs a film on this list. If they don't, I think that might be like the first time ever Disney does not have a nomination in an animated.
Well, more so than Disney, Pixar. Like
yes, sorry, yeah, that's what I should say. Yeah,
you need Pixar not to be in the conversation. I mean, I have high hopes for Pixar this year, finally returning to form. Nothing against Elemental. Elemental's good, but it's Pixar's. If there's a level, like a tier of movie, Pixar's been stuck in this tier that isn't its prime top of the mountain tier they've been in for a bit, probably since Soul. And before Soul, it was a couple. Soul was like the highlight of this tier.
For me, Onward also hits it. I love Onward. I think it's an epically great movie. But I'm with you on Elemental. We are lockstep 1 through 4. Elemental is also my number 3. But I will say it actually, even though its opening weekend was lackluster, it was before Disney Plus. It had some legs. It had some legs for a while.
It really did. Yeah,
it hit some hundreds of millions milestones worldwide. That quietly that a lot of people didn't really think it would do. I was higher on the movie also than a lot of people. I saw the flaws, but it hit me. It still hit me very hard, and I liked it a lot. But I also think it's number 3. It's the one that kind of consistently lives in that middle of the pack in every nomination I've seen.
Yeah, and financially, totally with you right there. But I feel like since it's hit Disney Plus, that's where the critical and fan reception has really taken a. Hey guys, Elemental's actually good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will check it out then at some point.
You should.
So I will give you guys my number 4 then, because I'm assuming my number 4 is your guys' number 5. At least I think.
I don't think it would be right to assume that.
All right. Well, this is interesting then, because mine is the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Because who doesn't love seeing Mario Kart on screen? And yeah, I really don't get what the critics group's issues are with this film. I think it's exactly what it intended to be. I think it's a fun, cute, like family movie, and I can't wait to see what they do next. I hope they do like a Smash Brothers movie. That would be killer if they did that as like the sequel. I don't know, but give me Yoshi in the next one. I thought that film was a blast for what it was.
I will say
you guys do not feel the same way.
My 5 and 6 are like, they're both 5 and 6 and one of them is Super Mario Brothers. And as of right now, which could change in like 10 minutes, I have Super Mario Brothers at number 5 as well, just because I think it's the only other movie that has had some consistent kind of talk. That deserves in one way or another the talk, because there's another movie that I don't think deserves it at all and has been getting on lists, and finally it has been starting to disappear on lists that Disney might have also produced that I don't think, I think it's lost it. But my 6 is my 6 could also very easily be on there, and I'll just say what my 6 is because it's not my honorable mention because I haven't seen it, but animated usually has a curveball. And you know what? I'll let Nick say his 5 before saying that.
Okay.
If not, I'll let you know what it is. But yeah, I have a very, very brittle Super Mario Bros. At number 5.
But can I mention though too that Mario Brothers is the second highest grossing movie of the year?
Not surprising. Not at all.
No, I feel like that can kind of help it a little bit. Not that box office puts an influence on it, but I think a lot of the voters that have children have watched that movie God knows how many times because their children love it so much.
Okay, so I don't know if this is a movie that you were going towards, Rue. I think logically, if you're looking at these lists, Nemona's probably, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
That's what I've heard too.
The movie that people would have on their list.
Netflix movie?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
From watching award shows from time and time again, there is a pattern that I have always seen in the Oscar animated feature, and it would be like, I expect this, I expect this. And then you'll see movies like Wallace and Gromit or Shaun the Sheep, and that's why I have Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget as my
wow.
That is my 5B, 5A. That is the
Yeah.
other one. Yes.
The
Interesting,
Academy,
guys.
it may be different, but the Academy, they love themselves some stop motion style animation.
Yes,
And
they do.
there's no one competing in that category other than Chicken Run this year. So to me, Chicken Run feels like a weird, not a lock, but like I won't blink if it gets nominated.
Yep.
And what studio released that film?
Which it's the same studio that does and I can't remember what it is, but that does Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah.
That does,
Oh, sorry. I just didn't know if it was like a Universal, like part of like a Universal, like or like a
It was a
studio.
Netflix release, I believe.
Oh, okay, that's what I was.
yeah.
I should have asked that. What
and
studio released it?
DreamWorks usually distributes it, so it's kind of like because Chicken Run and Shaun the Sheep was just one of the Shaun the Sheep movies. Not Shaun the Sheep. Wallace and Gromit was distributed by DreamWorks, but I can't remember. I think Aardman. I can't remember. I think it's that or something like that. That
I'll take your word for it.
So
yeah, so it should be interesting to see where Netflix will like lay their eggs then with either that film or the other one that Nick mentioned. Can you say it again, Nick? I know it starts with
Nimona. I
Nimona.
hope I'm saying it right.
Nimona is the one that I am like, what is going on? Nimona is the second best animated feature of this year. It is so damn good, and the fact that Disney dropped it and nobody would pick it up, and they had to independently. I don't understand. It is low key just a masterpiece, brilliant fucking movie, and I do not know why Netflix is not putting their life. But I don't know why anybody didn't because this movie is amazing.
And Rue does not swear, so you know he is very passionate.
I swear, I do swear. Watch one guy. I swear.
Teachers never swear.
That's funny. So Nimona, I'm going into honorable mentions. Nimona is the one that really should be like number 2 on this list.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. And then the other one is the other anime film that I think should be getting the love that The Boy and Heron is getting, and that's Suzumi. Suzumi, it's on Crunchyroll. That movie, its themes, it has the score, it has the visuals, it has the themes, it has the characters that I think everybody thinks The Boy and the Heron has. And it's a movie that if you haven't seen it, and if you're into anime or because some people consider Studio Ghibli not anime, but whatever else it is, not an anime. I'm sorry. Suzumi is the other one that should be getting the love that The Boy and Heron is getting.
Interesting. Nick, do you have any you want to throw out? Like
I
said, I really haven't seen any animated films this year, which I need to set my game up on, and hopefully one day I will.
I do have one that I saw, and I off the top of my head, I can't remember which festival it was, but it was one of the digital festivals, and it's a movie called Deep Sea. It is something that no one has seen. I don't know how it was released. I don't know how it was distributed. I wasn't even sure it was a 2023 release. I had to look up to make sure it got its wide release. Everyone should go look at this film. I know Quentin's probably not watching this, but I know he co-signed with me.
Co-signs are hard.
This is a visually spectacular film, and I think a lot more people should go see it. I think it would make both of your lists if you did. Also, in terms of honorable mention, just because I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe you've voted it, rated it pretty high, Rue. I would also say your honorable mention, you might want to throw out the first slam dunk.
Yeah. I was going to say that Rue should I was surprised Rue did not mention that.
I didn't mention it just because of the same reason. A lot of people haven't seen it. And I had a lot of movies that were just higher on the list. But it was a great year for animated films. The first slam dunk is a very, very good film.
All right, guys. Well, if we're good with animated, so pretty much our top 5 for that one, well, top 3, 4 is we don't have Super Mario Bros. Because only 2 of us had it on there. Well, we'll throw that in there. We'll throw in the Chicken Run movie. We'll throw in The Boy and the Heron, Across the Spider-Verse, and Elemental.
Yep.
All right, guys. And then now let's go into our final two categories. And the first one up we will do is supporting actor.
Yep.
All right, guys. I just want to start this off by, can you feel the Kenergy? Do-do-do, do-do-do.
Why did I think you're about to sing the Lion King song?
I don't know. Would you Hakuna Matata? Is that what you're thinking? I was
No,
gonna say
can you feel the love tonight?
Oh.
I was also thought you were going that way too.
I was very confused.
I'll grab my guitar right now and serenade you guys with Push by Matchbox 20 if you guys want.
Oh, let's
No,
go.
we're good.
I will say, quick little snippet. This has nothing to do with movies, but I was at the doctor's. I had a doctor's appointment today, and my nurse came in and goes, "You sound like someone very famous. Who is it?" I said, "Isn't Miley Cyrus?" She said, "Oh my God, it is." She's like, "You need to do a TikTok video singing her music, and you will go viral." I was like, "Lady, you have never heard me sing, and you do not want to."
Never
I was
considered that, but yes.
Yeah, I was like, I will not sound like her. But back to that, because I cannot sing I Am Ken, but I loved Ken, and I don't feel like he's just a friend, because he is, oh my God, Ryan Gosling killed it in this movie. Is the Academy going to give him an Oscar for playing Ken in a Barbie movie? I don't know, but he fucking deserved it. And yes, I think 1,000% he is getting nominated. So he is my number one. What do you guys think?
Personally,
Do you have him on? Do you have him, Ru? I know you didn't like Barbie, but do you have him on your list?
I have him, but my personal list, he would be like 8, 9, 10, because I did not think he was funny. Like almost
Ru,
at
you
all.
are not enough.
I did not. Again, maybe on a rewatch. No, I low key rewatched it, and it was not funny to me. It cannot connect to any funny bones in my body. But again, the appreciation is there, even though I cannot. I'm sorry, dude. I don't like Noah Baumbach's writing in any way, shape, or form. I can go on rants for days about that man. Greta, I like, but he's my number 2, though. Not my number 1. He's my number 2.
Nick, is he on your list?
Number 2 as well.
Number 2. Well, both say you're number 1 at the same time, because I think we all know what it is. 1, 2, 3, go.
Oh, go ahead, Nick.
I'm like, I don't know if we have the same number 1.
Say it at the same time, then, guys. Ready? Count yourselves. Do it, because obviously when I do it, did not work.
3, 2, 1. Robert Downey Jr.
Okay, you guys did. Okay.
Yes.
I personally, I don't think, I'm like, dude, in a 3.5-hour movie, I feel like he barely has any screen time, and I'm just like, how is his story so monumental, impactful in this?
Anne Hathaway had 8 minutes in Les Mis.
So
that's true. She had a song.
When I left the Oppenheimer screening, I saw it with Adriano, and I turned to him and I instantly said, and this was mid-year or something, Robert Downey Jr. is winning the Best Supporting Actor Oscar. And I've seen a lot of other roles since then. This is I know we're not doing winners right now, but this is the prediction I am the most certain of. On my list of favorites, he's not my number 1, but I think this is 100% his.
That is why he's my number 2. Personally, he's not one of my favorite performances, but I 1,000% he is thinking he's getting nominated.
Yeah, this is my second. I'm most confident in. I am more confident in one other person winning lock right now.
Yes, I am too.
But yeah, I don't think it's his to lose. That's what it is. It's his to lose.
Yep.
So he's my number 1.
And so I'm going to give you guys, well, I did say my number 2 was him. Actually, he's not my number 2. He's my number 4, but I know he's getting in.
Wow.
But that's only because, but he definitely is getting in 1,000%. And he's definitely probably going to win. But I just want to give some love to Mark Ruffalo as my number 2, because who knew that man could be that raunchy and wild? And damn, he does a good job at it. I really dug his performance in Poor Things, and I think I personally don't think Willem Dafoe is going to get in. I think he's going to be the man from Poor Things that gets in. So I guess I will say that he technically is my number 3 because Robert Downey Jr. should be my number 2, not my number 4. But
Do you, Paige? Do you?
Yeah. Okay, so Mark Ruffalo is my number 2, and Robert Downey Jr. is my number 4. But these people are 100% getting like our locks, I think. Do you guys have Mark Ruffalo on your list?
So I do. I have Ruffalo at 3.
Okay.
I have seen his stock is dramatically falling, which I don't understand. He is my favorite supporting actor performance of the year. He was the best part of that movie. Nothing against Emma Stone's performance, but he is the thing I left that movie like, man, I did not know Mark Ruffalo had that side to him. But I do think that there's a world. It's an unlikely world, but there is a world where Mark Ruffalo and Willem Dafoe end up canceling each other out, and neither of them get nominated. Now I do
opposite, actually. I thought there was a world. I also think there's a world where both of them weirdly get in.
That's really what do you think? Yeah, if that could either happen, or but yeah, I think Mark Ruffalo though has to get in. If he doesn't, I don't know. Did people not watch his performance? I don't know. Was he on your list, or both the Poor Things boys on there?
No, Mark Ruffalo is on my list. I think his stock has dropped. I don't think it's dropped as dramatically. I think it's the SAG nomination that kind of was like the surprise. I think this is the one where the SAG kind of are the ones who are getting it wrong, and Ruffalo is still a fairly good lock at number 3. After 3, it's weird. After 3, it's like I actually have in my head that there's locks in there, but my heart and my head are combining the most in this category, where I would not be surprised if a couple things happen, especially around one person, but bring that up later.
I gotta say, this is a strong category this year.
It really is.
Like I can list like honestly like 10 people that like deserve to be on this list. It's a very strong category. Considering last year was not strong at all. This year is really strong. So with that said, my number 3 was. I'll say my number 3. Yep, my number 3 is.
Well, you said your 3 was Downey, wasn't it?
No, he was my 4.
4.
Oh.
Yeah. So I had Ryan Gosling, Mark Ruffalo, and my number 3 is Charles Melton. I think, and I'm so happy that he's like growing in the rankings and then drops down, and then goes in the rankings and then drops down. But I mean, yes, this is his first like big film role. Yes, he is the boy from Riverdale, but he is the heart and soul of May December. And there's no denying that his scenes in that film are the ones that will impact you the most. And I think he does a killer job with what he's given in that film. And with that said, I really hope he gets the nomination. I think it really is a toss-up, but I think his chances are great. I think he deserves it, and I really do think the chances are high that he will get in. But do you guys have him on your list?
Do you, Rue?
No, I do not have him at the moment. I want him to get in. And basically he is the more logical pick to get in, but I have somebody who I'm going to get in there instead. But I think he's falling a little too much. I don't think the international crew, they didn't nominate him, and then SAG didn't nominate him, and that like doubly missing on both of those was as such a young actor who's like, oh, he can get this later if he keeps going. I think that's why he's right on the outside looking in. He'd be my number 6.
Okay. Well, Nick, is he on your list?
I don't have him either.
Oh my God, guys, what is going on?
To me, there's him and one other person that I think are the biggest potentials of if both the Poor Things boys miss. But one of them would definitely be Melton if you don't have Dafoe and you don't have Ruffalo. But I think if you're getting one of those in, he's just unfortunately just too low down the list to make it in. but he makes it difficult. And like I said, those two cancel each other out. It wouldn't shock me if he ends up on my list, but he's not currently there.
Interesting. So who is next on your list then, Nick?
Next on my list is Robert De Niro.
Yes, he is my, let me double check as my phone is so slow. He is my number 5. So as of right now, we've hit all of my top 5.
So I've said that I don't think Killers of the Flower Moon is going to do as well as people think it's going to do this Oscars. But one of the things, I don't know why it is, but there's a scene that sticks with me in Killers of the Flower Moon where, I don't think this is getting into spoiler territory, but Leo visits him in a certain situation, and 98.9% of actors would have freaked out. Their thing would have been to freak out, get angry, and do all this. And there is such a subtle self-assuredness that he shows in that scene that has always been the thing that stuck with me the most in that movie, is that scene. And I think that too many people have said that De Niro's just doing like De Niro things and stuff. There's a little twist. There's a little twist I haven't seen from him before in this movie. And I think that it's poised, I guess is the word I'll use. It's a very poised performance, but everything he does is very deliberate in this movie, and I think that it warrants consideration. Yeah. I think he's better in Killers of the Flower Moon than he was in The Irishman. I don't know.
I 1,000% agree with that. His character is like the mastermind of this whole film of Killers. And I think in the last like 10 years, besides Silver Lining Playbook, I think this is like one of his best performances in the last 10 years.
De Niro is also my 4. I don't think they're leaving him out for this.
Oh yeah, there's no way. The Academy loves him, and he like definitely deserves it.
They do, but they've left him out before. They've left him out of some categories before. I don't think they're doing it this year though. So he is my number 4.
All right then. So what is Amarú? What's your number 5?
Number 5 is the one time I am putting my heart in this.
Can I guess it, or do you want to say it?
Go ahead.
I feel like I know who it is.
Is it Sterling K. Brown?
It is 100% Sterling K. Brown. I yelped in delight when he got the SAG nomination. I think
that was awesome.
Performance is one of the best performances of the year, point blank, period. He 100% deserves this nomination. And I'm really hoping the SAG and the fact that a lot of people are just starting to see American Fiction, and the fact that the nominations just ended and a lot of people finally got to saw it right before it's going to be fresh on their minds. And as great as Jeffrey Wright is, the juxtaposition of the charisma and charm and then automatic just, oh my gosh, what the hell? Like depth of empathy you feel for him. Mm-hmm. His range is crazy in this film. And he hits every beat, just the comedy beats, the drama beats, the sarcastic beats. Mm-hmm. Everything he does is scene stealing and perfect in this film. So Sterling K. Brown, I'm rooting for you. Hope you get that 5th spot, man, because I want it.
He is my number 6. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna give you guys some of my honorable mentions right now, because like I said, like
I haven't given my list yet.
Yeah,
you haven't?
5. Nobody saw 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you have.
You didn't ask me if Sterling was my number 5.
Oh, is he your number 5?
He is not my number 5.
Oh, what is your number 5 then, Nick?
So, again, if we were doing a list of favorites, Sterling's up there. I know I've noticed from a lot of people that like read our site and which reviews and stuff certain people approach. If you're one of those people that just watches movies and doesn't watch TV, I implore you to watch Sterling K. Brown on This Is Us. The range of emotions that he does in American Fiction, it's that times 10 in that show. If your only knowledge of Sterling K. Brown is the bit parts he's done in movies, which they've been great, but man, this guy is fucking talented.
Yeah, he could act his ass off, that's for sure, and play multiple different pedigrees.
Yeah. My number 5 is once again from a movie I have not seen yet. And forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this gentleman's last name, but it's Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers.
He is my number 7, I believe. Yes, he's great in it. And I guess that's kind of where like my issue falls with Charles Melton is like, do you give it to the two younger boys? But I feel like Charles Melton has more of like the heart crushing performance than Dominic Sissa. I think Dominic Sissa is a talented actor and he is going to have his time to shine. This was like his first role, I think, ever. He was literally a senior in high school at Deerfield where they were filming when he got this part. And he kills it in this role. I mean, for the fact that he was able to go hand in hand with Paul Giamatti is, I think, something that a lot of young actors definitely would not be able to do. And he stands his own. And I think that's something really special. And for that, I have him at number 7 because I just don't know if the Academy would give two young actors in that a nomination in that field.
For him, I don't have him ranked only because this category is so stacked.
Yeah.
So like he can range anywhere from 6 to 10.
Yeah, maybe that's what I should say, 6 to 10.
Yeah, like and even then, like it's really stacked. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think he's getting it. I haven't seen him really get the love anywhere, so that's why I don't have him.
I think there's a world where, not saying it's a likely world, but I think there's a world where 2 of Brown, Sessa, and Melton get in over either Ruffalo or Dafoe.
Let me know what different dimension you live in and get back to me on that one. I mean, anything is possible. I mean, the Adriana Attenborough thing last year, I might have just butchered her name. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Andrew Riseborough?
Yeah, what did I say? I said Attenborough.
You were thinking of AO or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, that and Ana de Armas as well. Like people just you really don't know what could happen. And I think especially in this field with this category being so stacked, like I literally Glenn Howerton for Blackberry, amazing. Sterling K. Brown, amazing. Dominic Sessa, amazing.
I'll throw out 2 again. I don't really have honorable mentions that I think should get in. It won't because there's actually just a whole bunch. The 2 names I'll throw up is John Magaro for Past Lives.
Yes,
and
yes.
Teo would be supporting her.
He'd be leading, I think.
So yeah, John Magaro for Past Lives and Jamie Bell for All of Us Strangers.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. It was Jamie Bell and Paul Mescal. Oh, Mescal. Sorry, it's Paul Mescal. Yeah, I mean, I love that whole cast from All of Us Strangers. And yes, I feel bad for the Past Live guys. I mean, they were like up on the rise beginning of this year. And I feel like they just dropped. But yeah, this is a stacked category. But I think it's Nick, do you have any before we move on to the next one?
Well, you mentioned it when I said that Ruffalo was my favorite supporting actor performance of the year. I realized soon after saying that he was second because my favorite is Glenn Howerton in Blackberry. He's the biggest conversational snub that they just didn't get spoken about, and it's a great performance. The other one I would throw out, even though he doesn't do as much in the movie, based on when people are playing real life people, you want to see how much they have the mannerisms and the personality and the look and all of that. And I would throw Jeremy Allen White as Kerry Von Erich.
Yeah.
To me,
or the guy that plays the dad too. I think he did.
Holt McCallany. But to me, being aware of their story and being a pro wrestling fan and knowing about the Von Erichs, there is a case to be made that in terms of, I don't want to say mimicking, but reaching that character the best, Jeremy Allen White is probably the most true to life performance in the Iron Claw.
Interesting. Now, after this conversation, when we are done with the stream, I may have to talk about this because I'm very curious because I know you're a huge fan of that.
I highly recommend anyone who enjoyed the Iron Claw to go watch. There's a show called Dark Side of the Ring, and there's an episode called The Last of the Von Erichs, and it's basically an hour-long documentary of everything you saw in Iron Claw, and then the stuff they couldn't put into Iron Claw. Believe it or not, the true story is even more tragic.
Yep, and Nick sent that to me, and that is 1,000% true. Well, with that said, guys, let's run over to our final category of the day, and that is supporting actress. And let's be real, this category, there's already a home run grand slam. I can see that ball going flying, and the person that just hit it was Divine Joy Randolph, because this girl is taking it. I feel bad for every other woman that's in this category, because there's no doubt in mind that she doesn't take it. She's been the front runner all season long, even though the film just came out in November. But before the film even came out, I feel like there was this buzz around her performance, and she kills it.
Yes. This is the one category that I am absolutely 100% confident in. There was a small window before a movie came out where it was like, maybe somebody will push her. No, she's winning it. This is not a number one prediction nomination. This is a number one. She is in. She's locked. Yes. Get the speech ready.
Yes. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, she's my number one. I haven't seen the movie, and that's probably why I can't call her a lock, because that feels disingenuous. But yeah, she's winning this thing most likely. Yeah.
Yes. See this movie, man. What she's able to do. I watched a conversation with her discussing how she brought like the 5 stages of grief, to this character, and you can see her go through each stage like throughout the film is really like astonishing, because it's not something that she had to do, but the way she's able to like show that emotion on screen so subtly is like astonishing. And with that said, you guys should go watch The Idol, because she's in that.
Only Dolomite is my name. Rustic.
Yes.
Stuff.
Yeah, she's great in everything she's in. I'm so glad she's getting her time to shine right now. But with that said, Rube, what is your number 2?
Before The Color Purple came out, and when screeners were coming out, Danielle Brooks was being talked about as, Divine has some competition. Give her the Oscar. She is great, and she deserves all that love. That is why she is my number 2. Danielle Brooks, to me, is the standout of that film. There are aspects of The Color Purple that, like, it suffers from the comparison to not a musical. And that is the only quote unquote downfall of it. I very much enjoyed it. But it's hard not to have the masterpiece of an original in your head while watching it. But Danielle Brooks is the one that is just stands out head and shoulders above the rest of the cast, even though the cast is all great. She's my number 2.
Nick, is she on your list?
She is not on my list.
Oh, wow.
Mother of God.
So, sight unseen, I do have Danielle Brooks at number 2, because I feel like from just all the buzz I've heard, I feel like she's definitely a lock to get nomination. And if anything, that she probably is like the number 2. That if anyone was going to steal it from Divine Joy Randolph, it would be her. But I mean, no one's stealing that.
Nick, you wildin'. I don't know what you did. I don't know why.
Yeah, Nick, you need to tell us right now what if she's not on your list, what your number 2 is.
My number 2 isn't an outlandish one. My number 2 is Emily Blunt.
Okay, that's not outlandish.
Why is Danielle not on your list? How is she not on the list?
To be fair, I have not seen The Color Purple. It's making it seem like I haven't seen many movies. I've seen hundreds of movies this year.
He's our editor-in-chief, guys. He definitely has seen a lot.
I can confirm.
that is very interesting. So you do not think she's going to get nominated, or just sight unseen? That's why you just don't have.
I think there's 4 women who are going to get nominated, and I think that there's a very good chance that Danielle Brooks is the 5th woman who gets nominated. But it's fun to look. Like I said, shocks and snubs, and spreading the wealth a little bit. So yeah, I've got I guess a surprise pick.
Interesting. All right. Well, I already said Danielle Brooks is my number 2, and Emily Blunt's my number 3. Is she on your list, Rue?
Yeah, she is also my number 3. Those were the 3 up until last week that were my only locks, and then it was after that. I have another one I think I'm pretty more confident in. I think Nick has it backwards. Where Danielle Brooks is one of those that are coming in. But Emily Blunt was always Divine, Emily, and Danielle, who were the 3 back to back to back.
Yeah, those are my 3 locks that I have right now. I think the final 2 are up in the air. But Nick, now I'm so curious. Who is the next person on your list?
Next person on my list, I don't think Charles Melton's getting in, but I don't think this movie's getting nothing. So I have Julianne Moore.
Okay. She is in my. Hold on, before I say that, let me double check. Yes, she's in my honorable mentions. I think personally, I do think Charles Melton steals the fact that I can even say this, he steals the film, I think, from both of the actresses in there. So I have her in honorable mention, but I do think she does have chances to get in there.
I think the other thing is when you see my full list, unlike the supporting actor, it's a lot of, there's a new voting body, but there are people that the Oscars tend to lean towards. And if you have a category with a bunch of not relative unknowns, but like lesser names, Emily Blunt is probably not going to be the only notable actress in that category. So I think Julianne Moore, for being kind of seasoned and
has already won
a veteran, I think she's going to get in because I don't think the other person is going to get in. That would be in this category. That would be viewed as a veteran.
Yes. So interesting. So Rue, is she on your list?
No. I don't think May December is getting the love. I think they have fallen. All of the actors have fallen, in my opinion. I don't think Julianne Moore is getting in. I have another veteran who I think is going to take that place. I have another veteran. And yeah, I will say Julianne is probably 6 though. And
same. She's on the cusp. I think it is possible.
It's faltering with my current 5 and flipping back and forth, but at the moment I have her dropping out to probably number 6 right now.
So Rue, who do you have then for your next pick?
My number 4 is Jodie Foster for Nyad.
That is mine as well.
I thought Nyad was fine.
Yeah.
Just as a movie. But the entire movie, Jodie Foster was the one that I was just drawn to. And I thought she was amazing. And I think the love is going to go to her more so than Julianne Moore, just because she's been out of it a bit longer. And I also think I don't think it's as divisive. I think everybody thinks Nyad is either okay or really, really fun and nice and heartwarming. Whereas May December, people either really, really like it or really, really hate it.
Yeah.
And I think the standout movie the standout actress of a feel-good movie that has not been nominated in a long time is going to get that love. Especially she got the SAG. So I have Jodie Foster. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in my computer and do this face real quick so y'all don't just see the rest of my body for no reason. But I'm here.
Yes, I do have Jodie Foster on my list as well. I mean, who doesn't want a best friend like that? And it's a real woman. Like, that was a real woman that was such a good friend like that. Like, that is like, damn. Where can I find this woman? And how can I befriend her? Because that's a good friend right there. And the performance that Jodie Foster was able to deliver portraying this woman, I thought was like spectacular. I think she does such a great job. And she feels like the beating heart throughout the film. So I think her chances are pretty high to get there.
Yeah, I think I don't see a world where Jodie Foster and Julianne Moore get in. To me, there's a spot for one of those two women, and I said Julianne's going to take it, but if Jodie were to take it, that wouldn't shock me by any means.
I would be low-key disappointed if they both made it. I think that would be the boring pick,
If they both made it, agreed.
If they both made it, that would be the one I was like,
pick. But I think it is very possible that it could happen.
100% possible, but I really would not. Both are good performances and deserving, so not casting aspersions, but just I think, again, there is enough love to spread around and enough performances that are deserving that like I am hoping that it's one of them and somebody else who hasn't gotten a nomination before. I'm going to stick with nomination before because I thought of somebody. I was like, no, you've been nominated a bunch. So but you're also deserving. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling now.
Well, I'm gonna give you guys my number 5, and it's Murder on the Dance Floor, and it's Rosamund Pike for Saltburn. Because I'm telling you, that man's getting that movie's, I think, getting 3 nominations. I love her in that movie. I think she has such a small part, but what she does in the scenes that she's in is awesome. This woman has range for days. You got Gone Girl to this woman, yes. I loved it, and I feel like both of you are looking at me like I have 10 heads right now, and I don't care because I think if you want the Academy to have a fun, different pick, you pick Rosamund Pike for Saltburn. Thoughts,
I just
gentlemen?
don't think Saltburn in general has. Am I lagging or are y'all lagging, or can y'all hear me fine?
You're good.
Okay, cool. Because I had a lag for a second. I don't think Saltburn has enough love behind it. I think that's the issue. It is one of those movies that are continuously just below the radar, and just people who love it are trying to get it up there. And I don't think enough.
That could be it.
is getting up there. It's Rosamund Pike. If her name is called on Tuesday, not a surprise. I'd be like, yeah. It's like another person who I'm like, if your name is getting called, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think it will. My 5 is Divine Joy Randolph was my most confident pick. This is my least confident nomination, period. But my bad. What do you have your 4 still and stuff?
I haven't done my 4.
My bad.
Oh
Go
my God. Nick, why do we forget about you?
I have such a strange list. That's why.
You do.
Do. He forgot me on one of our images the other day, guys. I didn't notice it. So that's why I'm forgetting Nick today. I don't know.
Knowing how Rue felt about this movie, I don't expect this to be on his list. But Paige will be pretty happy because my number 4 is America Ferrera.
Yes, Queen. Honestly, she is surging.
You can make a case that she is the strongest performance in that movie.
She is like, I mean, I wouldn't say that per se.
Gosling's fun, but in terms of like the strongest performance, like the character, like Gosling is he's goofy, like in a good, fun, lovable idiot, make you feel bad about being a man way. But America Ferrera is the heart of Barbie, which is
she is. I will say that she is. And Greg, if you were wondering, supporting actress, baby. And Nick right now has the hot take. Yeah. Wow. He literally said that's a hot take. But no, it's not a hot take because American Ferrera is surging.
You think that's a hot take? Wait till you get to my number 5.
So one, I would give
in
that.
My bubble, though. American Ferrera is in my bubble, I will say.
I'm going to give that honor of the movie to Margot. I think Margot has the strongest performance in the film and the strongest arc. I think America has the strongest scene and the most memorable scene. And that is why she is my very, very not as confident at all, but she is my number 5.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
I am because of the surging, because she has consistently just been there. I think she got the SAG nomination. I might be tripping right now.
She did. I believe she did.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with. I think she's the second best performance in that film. I do have her over. Y'all heard what I thought about Ryan Gosling. But I have her at number 5. I think she is gonna slip right on in there comfortably in that scene. And you got your clip. You have your Oscar clip. That's what it is for me.
That scene is literally built for it to be your Oscar clip. I can't really say too much about that without giving things away for our discussion on Sunday, so I won't get too much into it. But before we throw some honorable mentions out there, Nick, do you have? Did we miss any of yours?
You did. I have not given my number 5 yet.
What is your number 5?
Look, I'm a sports person. Yeah, hockey may be my main sport because I'm Canadian, but I like me some basketball too. And hell, I like me some baseball. And people don't remember the people who just hit singles. They remember the people who hit home runs. So this may not happen, but I'm throwing it out into the world. My number 5 is Rachel McAdam.
Yes.
Honestly, I was
Yes.
going the whole time.
I thought you were talking Viola.
I thought he was like, "Well, Viola Davis" the whole time.
No, I gave
behind that train.
I gave Air My Love earlier. It's Rachel McAdams.
Mhm.
It reminds me of, which this performance didn't get love, but it reminds me of in the movie Love, Simon, Josh Duhamel's character, and how he really stuck with me in that film because of the honesty that he portrayed a parent as.
Mhm.
And I think Rachel McAdams does the same thing in a larger role. Yeah, she's probably not going to get in,
I'd
but I
love to
don't
see it
think it's
though.
impossible. And I think she's probably in the deserving 5.
I could see it. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I'm gonna throw up what Craig says right here. It's a supporting
Yeah.
actress is a crapshoot. They're just looking for 4 actresses to lose to Divine Joy Randolph. Yes, but I will say it is an honor to be nominated, though, even though they are not winning at all.
I am
And
I am with you 100% behind that. She would have been the person that I brought up as honorable mention, who I think 100% deserves
I think
all
she
the
deserves
love.
it too.
And if I would love it if she stole that from America Ferrera, that 5 spot, I would be very happy.
I wouldn't be mad at all. Let's just say that. That's the thing. This category is a lot harder than supporting actor because it really is a crapshoot. It's Divine Joy Randolph against whoever else they want to throw in there. But I do want to say, since you said Rachel McAdams, I really did love Claire Foy in All of Us Strangers. Yes, I keep throwing that movie up in here. But you kind of just mentioned Josh Duhamel, and I feel like Josh Duhamel is Jamie Bell and Claire Foy's like performance is kind of like thrown into one in a very like real like raw situation, and I think they both just give phenomenal performances and really like Claire Foy is great in that movie. I think her performance is underrated and is going under the radar, just like Rachel McAdams. And yes. I'm going to throw up Craig's other
no.
Yeah, no. Rue and I will both say this. We did not like The Zone of Interest. We are not a fan of that movie. And yeah, her character is very chill in that because that movie did not sit with me.
I don't remember what she did. I don't remember anything about the movie.
Yeah.
Except I don't remember what she did in the film. Anyway, I'm done. Sorry, yep. Craig.
I do have an honorable mention that I think Rue will quite like because it's not a movie I particularly enjoyed, but it's a performance I thought was the best one in the film, and that's Niecy Nash-Beth in Origin.
Yes.
She's great in that movie, and I didn't see that performance coming at all. She's always just been kind of this loud, funny, almost Leslie Jones type comedian. And she has such a touching performance that makes her almost like the moral compass of the film. And even though Origin wasn't my favorite movie, she is someone that probably should have been in this conversation. And I don't really know why she wasn't.
Nick, you basically summed up Niecy Nash-Beth's Emmy speech for after she won, because she was the one looking out for her, because she was the only one who knew she could do the shit that everybody thinks she couldn't do, because everybody thinks she is in that role. And while she does play those roles, she is a damn good actress, and she is damn good in that film. 100%. That is my other honorable mention. She is just amazing in Origin. Also another film that a lot of people are starting to see. I do think it's a little too late, especially because that voting is done. But yes, she is damn good in that film.
I'll throw up one, Viola Davis, because
there you go.
Because I thought someone was going to say it and no one else did. She's not getting in, but I mean, she deserves to love with the scenes that she has in that movie. She is like the Jordan family in that film, and yeah, everything she's in, I'll watch. I think she is one of the best working actresses today. So, and you guys have anyone else you guys want to throw out before we wrap it all up?
The only other thing I was going to mention, the other vet I talked about was Penelope Cruz, because she got the SAG realizing she also
Yeah.
won an Oscar and got nominated a bunch. Even though with the SAG, I was very happy about it because she is probably the best part of Ferrari.
That's
But
what I've heard.
I do not believe she is getting in for that. And yes, Craig, I'm gonna pull this up real quick. Paige, we gave Sterling Love earlier. Leslie Uggams is also damn good in American Fiction as well, as is Erica Alexander. That
Yeah.
day, I am so glad they got the best
Ensemble.
cast ensemble
Yeah.
in the SAG because that ensemble is also
Yes.
Spider-Verse is my number one movie. American Fiction is 1B. So
With that said, guys, we have done it. So today we predicted adapted screenplay, original screenplay, best animated film, best supporting actress, and best supporting actor. And what that means, though, we did title this episode Part 1. So we will be back Sunday evening for Part 2 to do best picture, best director, and best actor and actress. So for all of you watching, make sure you guys like and subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. Give a like to this video. Follow us on all of our social media platforms on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And thank you guys so much. And don't forget to go to bitesizebreakdown.com to check out all of our latest reviews, conversations, articles, all that fun jazz, top fives. Bite Size Awards are coming soon, guys. So stay with us for this award season. So thank you guys, and we'll see you on Sunday.
hitting this end stream button is so hard.